Hello and welcome back to Whovian Espresso. Today we are talking about a new episode of Doctor Who, and it's one that I'm not too sure what to think of as of this moment. I've literally just come up from watching it. I'm not sure about this one, because there's a lot I can say that could be both negative and positive. It's an interesting episode, and one that I don't think we've ever really seen before, and probably one that I think if it goes down well, we could see more, I don't know, but we probably won't, because I don't know. If I think what's happening is happening, then I doubt it will go down well, which is a problem. But I know there's a lot here that a lot of people will like. I think this is an episode that many will think of as being one of the best of the Whittaker era, and I would probably incline to agree with that side. It is one of the better ones of this era. But I think there's a lot of people who are going to hate this episode, and while I don't hate it, I don't know what to think. As of this moment, I think it will take me a couple of rewatches, and I think I will have to have seen the entire series before I know my verdict on this episode, because there is so many ideas and so much going on that it doesn't quite all fit into 50 minutes. In fact, there is just, I think one of the main criticisms I could have of this episode is that there is too much going on, and there is just too much going on at once. At one point I was struggling to follow the entire thing, because I was like, there's like 3 separate plots, but it's not convoluted in the same way that Orphan 55 was convoluted, in the fact that there were just like lots of ideas and they didn't follow through with them within the episode. The thing about Orphan 55 is I don't expect them to follow through with what they put into a lot of those plot points, because they were just 3 simple plots that could have been the episode, whereas here there's 3 sort of plots that will probably, one which was I could see supposedly being what should have been the main plot of the episode, and 2 that I think will come up later in the series, or perhaps across the entire Jodie Whittaker era. But I'll have to break it down. Let's talk about before I get into this, there is some major spoilers in this episode. I usually just put a spoiler warning in the title, but I think it's warranted to put a spoiler warning in the introduction here. But there are some major spoilers. A lot went down in this episode. It's one of the biggest episodes of Doctor Who for a while. They were speaking the truth when they said you won't believe what happens this week. I really don't. But yeah, let's get into this. We're going to start by talking about the Tardis team. Let's talk about the Tardis team. And in this episode, Jodie Whittaker does... Again, I think Jodie Whittaker has the same problem she had last week, is she's doing the best work she's ever done. I think she's acting better than in Series 11, but the cast in this episode, the supporting cast, is just so strong that I think she is overshadowed by the supporting cast, which I hope will come back, particularly Ruth Clayton's character, the Doctor, obviously, the new Doctor, that we know nothing about. Yes, that's the big spoiler reveal. Ruth Clayton is actually the Doctor, but she is definitely outperformed and overshadowed by the actress playing Ruth Clayton, which is it just proves to me, because Ruth Clayton, if she is the Doctor, and if they are doing what I think they're doing, which is what I think is going to go down badly, if they're doing what I think, the actress playing Ruth Clayton proves to me that Jodie Whittaker was perhaps the wrong actress to pick to be the 13th Doctor, because in her few minutes of screen time as the Doctor, as we'll get to later, she's really much better than Jodie Whittaker. And again, as I said, Jodie Whittaker is doing absolutely fine as the Doctor. She's giving a good performance. It's just her supporting and main and guest cast are just so much better than her, and that's not her fault, really. Series 11 I think had some very weak supporting casts. I thought a lot of the supporting characters in Series 11, and even the companions, have grown within this series. I think they were very much acting below Jodie Whittaker, but here I think Series 11 has brought a lot of talent. A lot of people wanted to be on this series with good reason. Doctor Who is a strong and well-beloved series. And the actress playing Ruth Clayton was on Casualty, so she's well known within the BBC. That ancestral relationship in the BBC, where if you know someone at the BBC, then you're likely to get other roles in other BBC shows. So yeah, but Yaz in this episode, Yaz and Ryan, they kind of come in later, but they're with the Doctor for a little bit with the Judoon in Gloucester. Yaz does some excellent work being the police officer. It's nice to have that come up again, because I think in Series 11 particularly, in Kablam, sorry about that. There's other people in this house. I know it's outrageous, but Yaz in particular gets some great moments here. I think some of the best, a nice callback to the policing that she does as a job, which I think was absent in certain episodes of series 11, and it has come up here and again, now and again in series 12, which is sort of making up for it. Ryan, he has some funny moments with Captain Jack, who obviously is another reveal for this episode, which I swore would never happen, and it did. I'm kind of mad about that because I saw on Twitter it didn't make sense, and then it happened. But to be fair, to my credit, I did say that it wouldn't work because it was all filmed in Gloucester, and of course it was all studio scenes. It's very obvious it was studio scenes, because obviously if it had been location scenes, everyone would have known. So it does make sense that they did that. But Ryan had some great moments with Captain Jack. He has a very similar relationship with Captain Jack as Mickey did with Captain Jack, the whole Captain Cheesecake thing. And then the Graham, I loved his bit with the cake, and then his interaction with the guy at the cafe. I thought they were great moments. So yeah, everyone did their good work. So, let's talk about the Judoon in this episode. Now, the Judoon were the thing I was most worried about this episode. It's not what I'm most worried about now, because I'm worried about how things are going to go down with the rest of the series in terms of fan reception, because I can maybe get over it, because the actress who plays said the big reveal, Ruth Clayton, is actually incredibly good in the role. But the Judoon in this episode, I don't know why they were here. I mean, it makes sense. They make sense in terms of the story, but I mean, we didn't need them back. It's not a monster I wanted to see come back. Having said that, it is probably, even though I don't think the Judoon have had very good stories, I'm not a big fan of Smith and Jones. I mean, it's alright. It's a fair enough opener. I actually prefer New Earth, which a lot of people don't, I know. I really like New Earth. I watched it a lot when I was a child. It was one of the first Doctor Who DVDs I owned, so I watched it to death. But enough about New Earth. I rewatched The Prisoner of the Judoon, the Sarah Jane Adventure story, just before this, and I realised actually the Judoon have never been that interesting, and they're not here. I think to be fair to them, the Judoon in this episode are probably the best Judoon we've seen. I think the Judoon captain with the mohawk is very amusing. I think he gave one of the better performances. I know it's the same person doing it, but I think he was better written, I think, his character. And I'm interested to know how much Vinay Patel wrote for this story and how much Chris Chibnall wrote, because there's that co-writing credit. I'm wondering did Chris Chibnall just write the Captain Jack sequences, because obviously this whole Ruth Clayton thing being the Doctor will probably link in to the rest of the Chibnall era. So did he write that bit and the Ruth Clayton bit? In which case, how much did Vinay Patel really write? Is it really, if he wrote just 5-10 minutes of it, which is really how much the actual Judoon main plot really surmises to, because a lot of this is setting up for future episodes. I mean, I'm not against setting up a story plot, but it does feel like there wasn't actually much main plot for this story. It all feels like a setup. I'm very not sure about that. But yeah, the Judoon, their role is minimal, really. It doesn't really succumb to much, but it's fair enough. It's one of their better performances and inclusions within Doctor Who history, I think. And I think it will go down well, the Judoon being in this episode. I don't think they should have brought them back. I didn't think they needed to. I think they could have had this whole episode with Ganat being maybe bounty hunter, would have maybe been more interesting. You never know. But I don't think they were needed here. And I think I never really liked the Judoon, so yeah, I guess. So let's talk about what will probably be the moment that has Whovians across the land losing their... I won't say it because Doctor Who's a family show, and, you know. But they will have them going crazy, like, baboons, I guess. Really try not to swear here, I'm sorry. But, Captain Jack being back. Rhymes. Captain Jack being back. He did a better job at rhyming than the Doctor did, trying to shamelessly rip off David Tennant by saying Judoon too close to the moon, and then Judoon by the lagoon, which was awful lines. But Jack is back. I don't know how I feel about this. Now, here's the thing. Captain Jack is a character that very much remains to me a part of the Russell T Davies era. I don't think he should ever have come back. I know fans have been clamouring for him to come back for years, and here's the thing, much like the Judoon, I've never really been a big fan of Captain Jack. I've never really thought he was... I think he always felt, when I watched Tortured, he always felt distant from the rest of the gang to me. And I related more to the characters of, say, Yanto or Gwen or so on. I related to those characters, or even Tosh. I didn't like Owen, if I'm honest, but I've never really gone Captain Jack as a character. I can see why people like him, and I can see why he did keep on coming back throughout the Russell T Davies era. But he just, to me, I don't see him working with the way the show currently operates. I don't see him fitting into the Chibnall narrative that he's created in this series. I think he probably feels more out of place here than he would have done if he'd come back in the Stephen Moffat era. So, I don't know what to think. Just yet. I don't know what to think. Because he teases that he's coming back, and I guess that they probably just said that so that if they film with him again in, say, Series 13, it will be known that he's coming back, I guess. I don't know, he might come back in the rest of the series, maybe the finale. Maybe the finale is completely studio bound, because there has been no, as I said, I pointed out, there have been no pictures of him filming Doctor Who outside, on location. So it would have to have been in a studio somewhere where they filmed the finale. We don't know anything about the finale just yet. I'm sure we will do when the next Doctor Who magazine comes out. We'll know the title and everything. But he talks about the lone Cyberman, like the lone gunman, I guess, is that the thing? A lot of people are talking about a Doctor Who story with Mary Shelley and the Cyberman being in it. Apparently that's a rip-off of an episode of Doctor Who, a Big Finish audio drama called The Silver Turk, which I'm going to listen to. I'm going to try and track it down before said episode airs to see if it is a rip-off. So I'll be able to give my verdict on that and weigh in. But I haven't listened to it just yet, so it will be interesting to do that. But yeah, I don't know how to feel yet. Because I don't think it can work. I don't think he really worked at all in this episode. I got excited, I will admit. This episode did get me excited with the whole Ruth Clayton being the Doctor and the Captain Jack coming back. But again, I got excited watching Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. It doesn't stop it being a bad episode, a bad film. And to me, despite all this exciting things going on, it doesn't stop it being a bad episode. And to me, it is not a bad episode. It's an okay episode, with maybe some bits all over the place, but I think it was enjoyable. It was watchable. But that's not Captain Jack's fault. We'll have to see. Again, I can't really give him my full verdict on this episode until I've seen the full series, really. But yeah, that's Captain Jack for you. His performance hasn't changed. It's like John Barrowman just slipped back into the role. John Barrowman's having a bit of a moment. I know he was on I'm a Celeb recently, a couple of years back, and he was quite popular on that. And then he was doing something last night that got him trending on Twitter. I'm sure he was trending again today. Double trend, I guess. But he didn't work with the companions for me. I didn't think they worked at all. I think he probably worked best with Ryan, but I think that's because of the prior establishment of the Doctor and Jack and Mickey. But yeah, that's that. Let's talk about the guest cast here. Again, one of the strongest guest casts for Doctor Who in a while. I think Series 11 really did do a lot to get a lot of actors willing to be in the series. The person who plays Ruth Clayton, I can't remember her name now, or I think Jo Martin, that's it, Jo Martin, playing the Doctor, or Ruth Clayton. I think, again, they reused another plot line from Series 3. This series is very Series 3 heavy usage. They've got the whole Master thing, which was very Sound of Drums. They've got the Chameleon Arch here, the Hidden Doctor type thing, and they've got the Judoon. The Christian was just ripping off Series 3. I don't know. It's very amusing that there are so many parallels to Series 3 within this series. Will there be more? We'll see, I guess. But Sheen gave a phenomenal performance as the Doctor, I swear to God. Now, here's the thing. If they are doing what I think they're doing, which is something that crept onto Twitter earlier in the year is that is this person playing an incarnation of the Doctor before William Hartnell as the Doctor, and implying that there were further female incarnations of the Doctor before the Jodie Whittaker. Now here's the thing, I don't mind if they do that, because Jo Martin convinces me more as the Doctor than Jodie Whittaker does. She has a much more commanding presence, something that I think Jodie has missed as a performance. And I think that's not her fault, it's the way she's written. I think she feels more like the Doctor than Jodie Whittaker has ever done. I think she has a greater relationship with this Gnat character, which I can only assume was either her former companion or some kind of unit-esque thing. I did think when she said, oh yeah, I used to work for them, I did think, was this some kind of unit relationship type thing? But here's the thing, is it pre-Hartnell, or is it an alternate universe, like DC Elseworlds or something, or the Marvel What If series type thing? I know that's not actually out yet, but I'm using the same principle. What if this is just another alternate dimension, like you have Rose Tyler's dimension from series 2, or it could be like the dimension from series 4 with Donna and the Beetle. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of potential ways it could go. It could be pre-Hartnell, or she could be the equivalent of William Hartnell from another dimension, because the TARDIS is not the same. It's very classic looking. It's very First Doctor-esque. A lot of people pointed out a while back when they had camera picture and then you could slightly see a classic console. I'm guessing that's from this, because it looks like it probably is. Neil Stuke as playing the character that he plays, I'm guessing was his companion or her companion at some point, and performing a similar role that Martha Jones did in Human Nature and Family of Blood. Basically, they ripped off Smith and Jones, The Sound of Drums, and Human Nature and Family of Blood. Those three stories in one series, and they're still talking about the Master. She's looking for the Master, so I would assume the Master is coming back before the series is out. I liked the cafe guy. I liked his joke on the cake where say you can do better. I was laughing at that, and I kind of think it's kind of sad because his companion clearly wants to say to her, "We're not in a relationship." I don't think that Neil Stuke's character did like the Doctor. I think he's just trying to protect her from whatever's going on with the Gnat character, which I assume we will find out. But let's talk about Gnat. Let's talk about this character, Gnat. A lot of people are unsure. I'm not sure what to think of what she is yet. She's clearly another Time Lord. She could be some relation of the Doctor. She could be from the Time War. She could be a soldier from the Time War. She could be Romana. She could be various things, but she's probably just Gnat. And she's hunting down the Doctor. It's revealed that she is the one who employed the Judoon to hunt down the Doctor. I'm curious to know what the Doctor did, because I don't think she did quit from her job. I think she did something far worse. And I think it's got something to do with the Timeless Child and what really is going on with the TARDIS. And I think, with Gallifrey and this whole past thing that the Master refers to, and I'm guessing that if this Doctor is from an alternate universe, then so is the Shasha Dhawan Master. I'm guessing that all this is all happening in an alternate universe, and it would make for an interesting storyline and a far better one than the hybrid if they can deliver. And it's a different thing to do with Gallifrey, because you're both, if they do that, then I think they're not only getting rid of Gallifrey, but they're also not at the same time, so they can do either. But if this is all happening in an alternate universe, and the Sacha Dhawan Master is from an alternate universe, and he's not Missy, which would make sense to me. I think it would make much more sense if that was the case, and that this was an alternate Doctor, and Neil Stuke's character was an alternate companion, and I'm guessing that this would be an alternate, maybe a Rani, it could be, or it could just be an alternate version. Maybe in the past, the Doctor was exiled to another planet, and then she was employed by this Gnat character. I think she gives a solid performance. I think she's pretty good in the role, and she has some good moments with both Doctors on the Judoon ship. But yeah, that's that's gonna happen. So, to summarise, much like Spyfall Part 1, I'm going to have to wait till I can really give my real opinion of this episode until I've seen the entire series, because it's only fair. But I will say, as of this moment, I'm feeling maybe a 6. Because here's the thing, I don't want to be too bad. Actually, no, I'm not going to say 6. I'm going to give it 5. Because here's the thing. If this doesn't deliver, and it does take some wrong turns in the way that Hybrid does, then it could go down in my mind as being one of the most treacherous Doctor Who episodes. But if it does go really well, the rest of the series, then I can see it moving up potentially to 6 or 7, maybe an 8. I don't think, actually, no, probably not an 8, maybe a 6 or a 7. But here's the thing about this episode is a very pivotal episode. It can either define this series, or it will define this series, but will it define it as being, would it make this series or would it break this series? This is the make or break moment for Doctor Who. We've had the very playing safe series 11. We've got this series, and series 13, we've got this a moment of flux, I guess, where anything can change at this moment. And Chris Chibnall has listened to a lot of the criticisms people took from series 11. He is taking risks. Series 11 and series 12 could very much be the end for a lot of fans, because if they do what they're doing with this pre-Hartnell Doctor, and it doesn't go well, and a lot of people will not forgive Chris Chibnall. I don't think they will, because if I remember the reaction when this rumour got leaked, it was not a positive one. A lot of people were saying it shouldn't happen. But I don't know, I'm open to it. So I'm going to keep it an even playing field. I'm going to put it at 5 for now, because I don't know. I don't think it will sink below a 5, because there is enough there to warrant it being a 5 in terms of good content, some fun scenes, some great action, some great performances. Even though I don't believe Captain Jet should be there, John Barrowman has never failed to deliver a good performance, even if he does feel like he's in the wrong decade. I mean, he's in 2 decades in the past, for me. He's nearly 20, his character's nearly 20 years old. Come 2025, his character will be 20 years old, and it'll be crazy to think that. But yeah, I think I'm going to keep it at a 5, because when I come to the end of the series, when I do my annual ranking, I've only ever done it one other series, but when I come to that ranking, you'll see how my opinion changes on it. Talking of which, this week marks the halfway point of Doctor Who Series 12, and at some point this week, I will be doing a mid-season thoughts, summarising my thoughts on the series so far. But until then, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. I hope you've enjoyed this video this week. We've had 2 videos in one weekend. We've had my Doctor Who Collection Season 26 Blu-ray, which has not gone down well, actually. I've started watching it, and the disc tray has started falling off, so I've laid a complaint with Zoom, because not only were there dents that I mentioned in the review, there's also the disc tray is not even stuck in properly, so I laid a complaint about that. But I'm enjoying the series so far, season 26, it's exciting. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you have the nice evening or day or whatever, and goodbye.